I'm Cynthia. I'm not an attorney or social worker, but I am a mom whose children were kidnapped by Child Protective Services. After 2 years of fighting, I did get them back. And now I have this platform to let other parents and family members come on and share their CPS horror story. So, Shay, go ahead and I know this is part 2, right? Number 2? Okay. Can you... Oh, it's raining. My dogs are outside. Can you, in a nutshell, kind of remind us of what's happened to you in the past?
Okay, so basically, December 27th, 2019, CFS removed my children because my son fell and he had an elbow fracture, but they're trying to say he had multiple fractures, but will not show me or their father any of the other fractures they claimed my baby had. So since then, we went to a trial. We have another court date coming up in February to try to have our son adopted. And they only responded to the appeal for our older child, my daughter. So there's an appeal going on for her, but nothing for him. They want to move forward with adoption for him. And
Who has them right now?
My sister.
Is your sister going to be the one to adopt them?
Mm-hmm. She says she wants to do guardianship.
Is she still planning on letting you be in their lives?
I haven't really sat down and talked to my sister about it, but I have talked to my brother-in-law, and yeah, that is an option. And before he told me I didn't even know if my rights get taken, I can get my rights back.
You can appeal it, yes. Is that something you want to do?
Yeah, that's my child. I want to raise my child. I love my sister, and I appreciate the fact that she has had them for the past year, but it's my child.
I agree 100%.
I'm like, what if I have 4 children in the future? I won't be even given a chance to raise them, from what I was told.
Is your sister trying to be mom to them, like wanting to be mom?
No, I haven't seen nothing like that. There has been a couple times where I'm pretty sure it's my daughter just getting confused. She's called.
How old is your daughter?
3. She just turned 3.
Yeah, I can imagine that it being confusing. Man, so what's going on now?
So when I spoke with the attorney this morning, I asked him if we can file a 388 petition because the appellate attorney for the appeal said that I need to have him file that petition. And he's like, well, what has changed? And I said, well, me and their father no longer live in the same city, because CFS just completely ruined our relationship to where we don't even talk anymore, not even about the kids. So he's in LA, I'm out here, and even though the judge denied my services, I still got back into classes anyway. And he said, well, I can't file the petition until you're done with the classes.
And what will the petition be for, to have them put back with you?
Or to give me 6 months of additional services so they can be put back with me.
Now, were they trying to say that you and the dad were toxic together and that wasn't healthy for the kids?
They're trying to say there's no logical explanation on how my 6-month-old child had fractures on his ribs. But my baby fell from a bed and hit a different bed. And they said that doesn't match up with the injuries. But I wasn't even home, so I'm not even sure if that's what happened to my son. And I showed them that I wasn't home. I showed him the message saying, fell, we need to take him to a doctor. And asking where I was at. I have multiple papers from the doctor's office I was in saying I was in their office that day from this time to this time.
Who was the one who called CPS? Was it the doctors?
It wasn't the urgent care that we took him to. It was we took him to, it's a doctor's office over here that we've been taking the kids to since my daughter was born. We took him to see his pediatrician, but she was out for the day, so he seen a different pediatrician, and she's who called. They were trying to, me and his dad started talking at the same time, and he said, "Babe, can I speak first since I was when I was there?" And I said, "Yeah, that's fine." She called them and told them that he told me to shut the hell up, and he's the only one to be talking. When that's not at all what was said, and that's what started all the CFS. Because it raised for mine and the children's safety.
They could have just placed you guys somewhere else, or, you know, said that you guys should separate or something, you know? It's so frustrating when they do this stuff.
Exactly, because they are, when we had, the day we took him into the hospital. No, originally. All right, so the December 23rd last year is when the first worker originally came out, and it was almost midnight when she came to my house. My kids were already in bed. Both of them were sleeping, everything. And my mom had came knocking on the door, like we were all on our way to sleep, and she said, "There's a lady at the door asking to speak with you guys," and she has a county badge. So we got up, we went to see, and it was a worker, and we didn't even know, without a warrant, we didn't even have to let her in the house. So we showed her where the kids were sleeping, that we had just got the baby a whole new bed because his crib was broke. And the pieces of the crib were, because after the one side broke, we just completely took it apart, had it sit in the corner because we were going to give it back to my aunt because my baby cousin had passed away a few years ago. It was his and she wanted it back. So she could see that the crib was still in the room and he was in a pack and play. And she checked him and my daughter. Other than my baby's arm being wrapped up from his elbow being fractured, there was not a single scratch on my son, not a single scratch on my daughter. And she said, "Okay, just do what the pediatrician said, and we'll work on getting this closed out." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." So the day after Christmas, which was December 26th last year, is when the detective came at 8 in the morning, and she's like, "Oh, I can get y'all into the specialist faster. Just give me a moment." We thought she had left, and an hour later, she was still sitting outside my house, and she knocked on the door and said, "Hey, can y'all take him in right now?" And we were already on our way somewhere else. We was like, "Well, we have something important we got to go do first." And she said, "More important than your baby?" And I said, "No, this is actually for both of the children." And we asked my grandma, "Can we use your car to take to the hospital to make sure there's no infection in his fracture?" And she said, "Yeah, that's fine." She told us to go through the emergency room, tell them we're going up to pediatrics. I forgot, orthopedics. And so we did that, and they took us into the emergency room and didn't even tell us they were doing an abuse assessment on my son. They took pictures of where he was circumcised, because he still has a scar there that's still red now. And my baby was a week old when he got circumcised, and it's still red. They took a picture of that, trying to say we cut him. I was like, he was circumcised. You can tell my baby was circumcised. And after that, we were there. Well, I was there from 9 December 26th to 6 p.m. the next day, which was the 27th. So around 11, I called my aunt because my grandma can't see to drive at night. I said, "Hey, can you come pick up my grandma? They're still running tests on." We didn't know anything about what they were going to say about the rib fracture. She said, "Yeah, that's fine. I'm on my way." And so my grandma did end up just taking her car and following my aunt. And so when my grandma had walked out, they had moved us. You know how Loma Linda has those certain rooms for people that are real sick with the glass doors and glass walls? They put us in one and locked the door. And right at this point, it was just me and my son. because I forgot where his dad had walked off to. I think he went to go get some food or something. But they had locked me and my son in there. I'm holding my son, trying to put him to sleep because he was getting tired. And the doctor came in. Your son has 2 rib fractures. And I said, what the hell do you mean my baby has rib fractures? I want to see his x-rays. And like my heart just sank. Like at that moment, I was like, yeah, they're going to take my baby. And 45 minutes later, the detectives walked back in. They started asking me questions. They was like, we don't believe you did it, but is there any way the father could have done it? I said, I don't know. I wasn't home. And I said, I could show you guys the messages where he messaged me and said, hey, we need to take to the doctor. So I showed it to him. She said, can you screenshot this to me and send it to my phone? And I said, yes, I can. So I did. And when she was like, are you willing to do a polygraph? I said, I'll do anything to show that I didn't hurt my baby.
Right.
And they never came to get me to do a polygraph. I even volunteered after he did his and they arrested him. I said, I'll still do it to show you guys that I didn't hurt my baby. And
why did they arrest him?
Because one question came back inconclusive.
What was the question?
Does he feel like he could have caused one or all the injuries to my child? And they said there was a partial admission, but they never told me what it was. And they said because the fact that we weren't married, they couldn't tell me what they said. But I'm like, but it's my child that's involved, so I can't know what is being said that happened to my baby, so I can fight to get him back. I was like, I don't even know where my daughter is right now. My son is 6 months in the hospital by himself. So, and y'all can't tell me nothing to where I can go, so I can go back to the hospital and get my daughter home. And the detective is like, well, you're cleared. And she's like, but he did say your little brother was in the room when the child got hurt. So if we need to speak with his guardian, I said, my grandma's here. And so they asked her if it was fine if they spoke with my brother. And she said, yeah. So like 20 minutes after I got back home, she got here. And she started talking to my brother. And when she was done talking to my brother, she has to speak with me again. My brother told her the exact same story their father did without even hearing his story. And she said, I'm going to go try to get your children back. And I didn't even hear nothing from the worker for another 3 weeks. So I didn't know where my daughter was. I didn't know who was changing her. I was allowed to go see my son in the hospital. So I'm like, why can't I talk to my daughter if I can come sit with my son for hours? And it was a lot. And so I didn't even know they switched the workers to one in the Gifford office out here. So I was trying for weeks to find out who the worker is. But then there was this program that I did called Black Infant Health. And I remembered someone that works there. She used to be a social worker in the same office. So I told her what was going on. Well, she knew what was going on already since the kids got taken. And so I told her that I don't know who the worker is. I don't know what's going on, where my kids are at. Well, I knew in the hospital. My son was, I didn't know hold on. People are trying to call me. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about what was going on. So she called them. They weren't trying to tell her anything. And I signed a release of information to where she can give and get any information she needs. So she told them if they don't contact me within the next 24 hours and let me know what's going on with my children, she's going to go to the state. She said, and she told them she used to work there, exactly where her job was, who she knows, and that they're not handling the case right. She even spoke with the social worker in front of me and started asking her questions. And the worker wasn't trying to answer him. And when she did, she was rude. And then when we went to court back in September, she wasn't even trying to answer some of the attorney's questions. Even the judge asked her why she hasn't even came to check my house to see if we still live together. Or went to check where he's staying to see if I'm there.
Right.
Like if you come in, I told the judge, if you guys come to my house today, the most you would see is a pair of shoes that he gave to my dad. Because anything he didn't take with him, I threw out. So it's frustrating. And my attorney advised me not to testify. So that made the whole case worse. Because the children's attorney then said she had a chance to tell her side and to prove to us that she had nothing to do with this child's injuries, and she chose not to. The attorney advised me not to, and I trusted him, so it made it look like I just don't care and that I did have something to do with it because I didn't say nothing.
Or that you chose the dad's side over your son.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I love their dad too, but it's my kids mean way more to me than anybody.
Right.
And it's like they just ruined our whole family. And when the day the 26th at 2 a.m, they had me call my aunt, have my daughter dressed again and brought back to the hospital, do all the same tests they did on my son, on her, took blood, put a catheter to get urine, had me hold her down for x-rays. And there's not before they were at my sister's house, there was not a scratch on either of my children. And both of my kids have a few scars now from playing with all the, and I know it was them playing with all the animals, because every time I go see my kids, I see something new. I'll ask what happened. And my sister she's really good at telling me anything. She's like, because she noticed my daughter's blinking and squinting a lot, so she brought it to my attention. Because I didn't even notice it. It just looked like how she always looks to me. So she's real good at keeping me updated with stuff like that. But I'm like, before my kids got taken, they didn't have a single scar on them.
How often do you see your kids now?
Once a week for 2 hours still. But now I can do a phone call with them for 30 minutes. And their dad can't even see them at all. If he wants to talk to them, it has to be a phone call. Because he didn't finish none of his classes. And he just stopped going to see them, so they took his visits away. Like, my daughter was on the phone crying to me, why doesn't my daddy love me? And no 3-year-old should be asking that.
No, and I hate to tell you, but my daughter is 10 and she still asks the same questions.
It's hard. My baby still asks me when she can come home. Last week, I got to see them on Wednesday because the office was closed, and my visits are usually Thursdays. So I always get to stand outside and play with them for a little longer because of my brother-in-law. He lets me have a little more time with them. But my daughter randomly looked at me, Mommy, you can go by now. And that killed me. I wanted to cry so hard. I mean, so bad because my daughter's telling me I can leave and she doesn't want me there anymore. I was like, you want me to leave, Royal? She said yes.
Don't think of it like that. You never know. She could have been told that after the visit they were going to do something.
Yeah, she's only 3, so I'm like, she had bubbles in her hands. I was like, she's just probably her mind is somewhere else, but it's still just because the situation.
I know it hurts. I know it hurts.
And then she just keeps asking me to bring all her stuff. She's like, can you bring my bed? But she wants her bed. She doesn't want the bed that they have for her. She has a bearded dragon. She asked me to bring that for her, but my sister says they have too many animals or she'd let her.
Does your sister have kids?
Mm-hmm. I have 5 nieces and nephews from her.
Wow.
Yeah, I have altogether, I have 11 nieces and nephews. Because all my younger siblings, other than my brother, has kids too.
How old are you, if you don't mind?
24. I think my sister's 11 or 12 years older than me.
How come she doesn't bring them to the visits and stuff?
I'm not sure. She was at first, but she does homeschool her kids, so I just thought it was because of that. And I know she's doing homeschooling with my daughter too now.
Wow.
Because a lot of people ask me that, I'm like, I don't know. My dad says she's sick, but I didn't want to I didn't really want to stress her out because I know she already has a lot on her plate because she has her own kids also.
Right.
That's why I just try not to bug. I'll check in with the kids. Like, hey, how's the kids doing? Do they need anything? And she'll let me know if they do or not.
The whole thing is hard.
It is. Because I didn't do anything, and I might be losing my son permanently. He's my baby. Like, I have a very good chance to get my daughter home, but I want both of my kids, not just one
Right.
of them.
Right.
And the workers are still trying to make it seem like I only care about one child. But every time any of the workers walk into the room during the visit, I always have my son right in my lap playing with him. Because my daughter, she's 3. She likes to do her own thing.
Right.
She'll be playing by herself, and then she'll come to me, Mommy, can you help me do this? Or can you do this with me? I'm like, yeah. And then I try to find things that I can do with both of my kids, but it's kind of hard because my baby, he's still 1, so he's still learning everything. But my daughter, she's very smart. So it's different things I can do with her than I can do with him. So I've been trying to find more things I can do with both of them at the same time.
That's hard.
It is. And for them to just make it seem like I only care about one child, it bothers me because I don't. I care about both of my kids. Because if I only cared about my daughter, I would have let it be known when it happened, like, okay, you can just keep him. What can I do to get my daughter? But no, I want my son too, because that's my baby. And they tried to use my postpartum depression in court too, the fact that I had it. They said because she had postpartum depression, how do we know she didn't do this to this baby?
Oh my gosh.
And even their father corrected it, because no, and my sister brought it up during one of his visits, and he called me when he was on his way to pick me up from work. He was like, your sister just told me that it's concerning that you don't really have a bond with. I was like, what are you talking about? The whole time I'm with the kid in my lap. And yeah, she said they're saying that you hardly interact with him. And I don't remember exactly what he said. I said, no, I sit there and play with both of the kids. Sits in my lap the whole time. Unless
Well,
he
one thing that they're not taking into consideration is that they took your kid from you when he was, what, 6 months old?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's probably difficult to have a bond regardless.
He told her, he said, you got to realize that Shawnee wasn't over her postpartum depression with when she got pregnant again. And then when she had it got worse. She wasn't even getting out of bed. Unless she was going to the bathroom or taking a shower, she was in bed asleep or crying. She wouldn't even get up and eat anything. I couldn't even force her to eat anything. I had the whole time. She was always running around playing with her cousins. So I had him most of the time. And he got taken at such an early age. She's trying to build a bond with him, but she doesn't know how. She's doing it the best she can. So he did defend me, and he made a face when the worker said because of her postpartum depression, she could have done this. No, my postpartum depression kept me in bed. I didn't get violent with my kids. I didn't even pop my daughter on the hand when she would do something she wasn't supposed to do. She had a choice. Either you're sitting in the corner or you're taking a nap. Because I didn't want to raise my kids with that kind of discipline. I never did. And it bothers me because, like, how are you going to use my depression against me? It's not illegal to have any kind of mental illness or to have postpartum depression and have children. There's many women who deal with postpartum depression and do not hurt their children.
Absolutely.
That has, but there's a lot of people that won't. And then I read that you can't even use a polygraph in court, and the worker brought up his polygraph multiple times in her testimony. I don't. Like, at the point where I don't even know what to do. Like, I feel like I'm failing my kids because of them.
Have you talked to Attorney Vince Davis at all?
No, I've been trying to get the money so I can hire him, but
How
I'm
about
working too.
Talk to him first.
I know I did call in to the show like 3 weeks ago, I think it was. And I talked to y'all briefly on the show.
What'd he say?
I don't remember. I know he said for me to call in. It's just I've been so busy trying to do everything, get my kids back. And then the worker, I have a cousin that's a photographer. My worker approved him coming to the office and taking pictures of me and the kids. So I was trying to get that taken care of. But my sister, at the last minute, last week.
But
So it's a lot I have been running around doing at once.
I understand, but you gotta call him.
I need his number. Do you have the number?
Yeah.
Can you, after we're done, can you text it to me so I can call him?
All right. Yeah. Or I can I'll just message the page that you've been messaging, and my assistant will send it to you.
Okay. I don't even know what to say when I do call because my mind is just everywhere. And when I spoke with the attorney this morning, he said that I need to get another psych evaluation, but I have to pay for it. So I started calling around. They're expensive.
They're very expensive.
Yeah, somebody's going to charge me $800 just for the 2-hour consultation. So I'm like, I can't afford that. I can't even afford an actual attorney. So
that's why I want you to call Vince, because you said they didn't have a warrant. There's so many things.
I know when they removed my kids, they did have one, but I didn't see it because I wasn't home when they physically came and took my daughter. I wasn't here. I was still at the hospital with my son. But the worker who did come and pick her up, she did come and speak with me. But after I spoke with her and the cop that was with her, I went straight to the police station to finish talking to the detectives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't given anything other than a paper with the court date. And it's I noticed the worker, why haven't y'all came? It's been a year. Why haven't anybody came to my house to check to see if it's even safe for them to come home? Why y'all just automatically recommend no reunification before any court date even happened? And during the CFT meeting, they were trying to come up with an adoption plan then without giving us any classes. And the worker, she got mad because we had a family there from both of our families that have been around us multiple times with the children, because my family was very active in our lives. We were always, because I mentioned my 107-year-old grandma, we was always around because it was important to us that the kids had a relationship with her before she died. So they witnessed us with the kids. They seen how we talk to our daughter when she's doing something wrong. Like, we'll explain to her why she can't do what she's supposed to be doing, and to let her know if she does it one more time, she will either have to sit in timeout or take a nap. And she'll say, okay, and we'll let her go back to playing or minding her business or whatever it is she wants to do. Like, we'll ask her, what do you want to do? You want to go play? You want to sit with us? And she'll let us know. And so they've seen that, and they've all expressed that to her. And my cousin's one of the councilmen out here, and he was there. And when she got frustrated because nobody was trying to come up with an adoption plan, she said, you guys aren't taking this serious. You don't understand the seriousness of the baby's injuries. I said, my child got hurt. I do understand. But I will do everything in my power to prevent my child from getting hurt again. Whatever it is y'all need me to do, I'm more than willing to do it. They never once told me, oh, you need to leave their father. And they used that against me because I was never told that. His cousin, in the meeting, she was like, because we were both wondering, like, okay, if y'all not telling me I have to leave him, is it okay if he comes home? But we felt it would be smarter if she was the one to ask. So she asked. And she said, yeah, y'all can do whatever. We're not telling you to leave your relationship. And even the judge asked, what does it matter? What does their relationship matter? Because they were bringing up some old Facebook posts, even my son's post for his birthday. And I corrected them. I said, if you read that post, it does not say nothing about their father. Their father his name is this. And yes, my son's name is also this, but he also has an additional name.
Right.
So if you read the post, it says his name, not his father's name. It has my baby cousin's middle name with his name. And there's not one picture of his father in his post for his birthday. It's all pictures of me, him, and his sister. Pictures of him and his sister.
Right.
saying how much I love him, and they tried to use that. It was something I had tagged him in. It was a memory, and I was like, I miss my life being okay like this. And his attorney said, how do you know these posts aren't meant in a friendly way? How do you know that they're still in a relationship over a Facebook post? Because my Facebook profile, it said single, and his said married, but didn't say a name. And it was something else that they tried to say. What did she say?
I've been divorced for almost 5 years, and there's still pictures up because I don't have the time or energy to go over, on my Facebook and delete everything or hide it or whatever. It's stupid that they would even bring this up.
The worker said they were just outside smiling and laughing. I was like, we were talking about our kids. Like, I'm supposed to hate him when he was the only man I've been in a relationship with that didn't abuse me? And if my brother's telling y'all, is old enough to talk to a detective, why isn't he old enough to come talk in a court? My brother's 16 now. Why he can't come testify about what he's seen? Like, it's none of it makes sense. Like, if he's old enough to talk to a detective at 15 with an adult present, why he can't come talk in court with an adult present? And it's been a year, and they were like, it's going on a year. By the time we come back to court, it'll be a year. There's been no improvements now. What makes you think there'll be improvements later? I'm still young, and I have kids. I'm still learning. Like, everything. She tried to turn my whole Facebook into something. And I don't use Instagram. So I forgot to take his last name off my Instagram. So they used that against me and it got bad to them trying to turn every single thing I posted around. I completely deleted my Instagram. And he had told me, their dad had told me that his brother calls and tells the worker things. And I'm like, then why are you still surrounding yourself with that if he's trying to do this? That's going to make it harder on us getting the kids. And then the worker said, oh, they're fighting this together. And then he did a post talking about how much he appreciates our son's godmom, saying how much we appreciate her. They tried to say it was an appreciation post for me. But it had her name, said, me and the kid's mom really appreciate everything you do for them. Yes, it's an appreciation post, but it's not for me. Even though my name was mentioned, it doesn't mean it has something to do with me.
They just turn everything they can.
Exactly. And I'm like, I've seen kids that need to be taken. I know a woman, I don't know how many kids she got now. I think she's pregnant with her 8th child. Her first 3 kids got adopted. Then she had another case. Second 2 got adopted. She has the last couple she has them now. But I'm like, y'all see that she's a drug addict and y'all haven't taken her kids? And then I guess I don't remember it. My mom had an open referral when me and my siblings were younger. They're trying to use that. He grew up in and out of juvenile hall, different stuff. They're using that. They're using the fact that before my daughter was even thought of, he was in jail for a year for stabbing somebody. They said because of that, I should have known he was going to hurt my child.
Oh,
I was like, stabbed a grown man that stabbed him. So how am I going to use him defending himself to say that he's going to hurt my son? They tried to, I got frustrated one day. My car wasn't running. I hit my windshield with a bat. They tried to say he hit the windshield with a bat. And I told him, I said, no, I did that. And it was my car. It wasn't living. It has no feeling. It's my property. He purchased the car for my birthday. So why I can't take out my anger on something that is mine? My kids didn't see it. They were not even home. Nobody's seen it but my dad. And I'm like, y'all just want to ruin people's lives. And there has been a couple workers that have worked with me in the past because I have had open referrals because my ex was real abusive. When I finally left and got back with my kid's father, he was calling CFS on me left and right. There was the first worker, she almost lost her job to keep my daughter at home with me. And then there was another worker. Every time he would call her, she would call me. She's like, I don't know why he's calling me like I'm his friend, but he's trying to say he your kid's dad touched your daughter. I said, okay, you can come to my house. I'll be outside waiting with her in her car seat. Let's go to the doctor. So I'm the one that bathes her. I give her shit. I'm the one who changes her diapers. He doesn't do it. So if my child was touched, I would know. So I said, we can for sure go and get that checked out right now. Because that's an accusation that can ruin somebody's life because of how serious it is. And I'm like he was really trying to get my child taken from me because in 2016 his 2 children were removed, and I showed the worker screenshots of him saying, I don't have my children, so why should she?
Wow.
And I showed him screenshots of where he raped my cousin a year ago. I showed them screenshots of that. Well, it wasn't your daughter, so what? It doesn't matter. And they're trying to get my child to him. And he's a worker literally told me to take my child away from him because he said, "Ooh, you look just like your mama. Give me a kiss." Licking his lips before he said it. She's like, "Shawnee, get your child." And my baby wasn't even 1 yet. She was 7 months when he said it. And he's beaten me. I've been in the hospital with my ribs fractured from him. So I'm like, and I know that is painful. So how did my son have these fractures on his back, on the back of his ribs, and was still able to lay on his back laughing, happy as can be? And my dad mentioned that to the workers in the meeting. He was like, how does my grandson have these fractures when he would lay on his back and I would be tickling him, just playing with him, and he would be laughing? It doesn't make sense. And then she said, well, the forensic report says these fractures are non-accidental. And my grandpa said, I want to see that report. Well, I haven't even seen it yet. So how do you know my baby had what the report says if you haven't even seen it? It didn't, nothing that they say makes sense.
No.
And then the new worker, she has been trying to help, but she doesn't really talk to me. Like, I've seen her twice since she became the worker. And then we have my mom has a friend. She's been around since I was a baby. She was there when I was born. She worked in my office. She currently is suing them because she got real sick after them sending her into a house, somebody's house. And she said, because they said they can't use my character witness letters from my church and that. And she said, yes, they can. She said, I was a worker in that office for years. I just stopped working there a year ago. I know for a fact that they can use those letters. Have your grandma write one because she sees you every day. I'm going to write one. And if I'm done with my lawsuit by then, I'm going to court with you. She said, because they're not handling any of this right. Even the lady I'm doing 2 of my classes with, she's writing a letter for me.
I really want you to call Vince.
I will. I for sure am, because
like right now, like
I saw, what time is it? Oh, it's still early. I thought it was like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I want you to call.
I am, because I feel like, because the fact that I don't know much about the court systems, I feel like they're trying to take advantage of the fact that I don't know.
Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry, my kids. Of course, when I need them, or when I am working, they're needy.
Man, that's what my daughter, she likes to run around, be independent all day. But as soon as I would start doing homework or working on something, Mommy, open the door.
Yep.
The way she would act before this got taken, the way my baby would ask me for things, it would be so cute, because we didn't give her a lot of chocolate and stuff. And she would be like, Mommy, can I have just one, please? I'll be good. And I was like, oh my God. So she ended up spoiled because of that.
That's funny.
She knows she's cute, so it's bad.
Yeah. All right, look, let's get off. I want you to call his office right now and then message me and let me know what happens.
Okay. The same number I texted you on yesterday, right?
Message the page that you were messaging today and ask for his number, and then they'll give it to you. And then message the page again and let me know what happens.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. I'm going to do it right now.
Right now.
Okay, I will.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.